Hey, Gord, how are you today?
I'm great, Scott. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. It's finally feeling like spring out there, right?
Well, I wouldn't be so eager to say that, but we're through the worst of it, I think.
So we're going to talk for a few minutes about the program that you're doing on behalf of ACEC. And before we get to the specifics on that, I thought it would be helpful for people just to understand at a high level, you know, how do you help organizations? What is it you do, and how do you help them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Great question to start. And um, I think for the most part, where I think I bring the most value to organizations is just I've had the real good fortune of working with leadership teams over the last 2 decades. Most recently as a chief strategy officer for an agency that spent a lot of time with called ThinkShift here in
Yep.
Winnipeg, and just the privilege of working with these leadership teams, understanding how they practice the art of leadership and how they bring good habits and quite often not so good habits into their cultures has given me sort of a perspective that I can bring into the clients that I now work with. So I think for the most part, it's just maybe a set of eyes and some opinions that they might not have heard of before. And to the extent that I can um, help them understand those things, I think I can bring some value.
Something that you and I chatted about before, which I feel is a part of this, is that we're dealing with professional engineers, and one of the things you brought up was the idea that a lot of times if we're able to provide some process or structure that they can then use and follow from a performance approach, that's part of the value is that accurate?
It very much is. I think there's these hard skills,
Yeah.
and then there's these soft skills. And the hard skills are like the hard sciences or the hard skills. Um, Engineering would fall into that, right? And
Systems
then
and
there's
processes.
there's
Yeah.
there's 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 math, there's process, there's procedures that make sure that the output is consistent. And in a lot of respects, because there are of those practices, it makes the work. I don't want to say easy, but it makes it consistent to apply.
Yes.
In the soft skills world of leadership development, performance management, human resources, the soft, squishy people skills side of the business, there isn't the same modeling and methodology. So, in
Yes.
fact, the soft skills are not really that easy. They're actually more difficult than the hard skills might
Yep.
otherwise seem to be, right? So, by bringing models and frameworks of thinking into the application of some soft skill development around leadership and professional development and performance management, I think it can give engineers and whoever some useful tools to apply in the real world.
And I suppose that leads to the next question, which is, with those systems and processes, how will people benefit? What's the outcome that they'll see by participating in a program like this, and how will that result in a tangible outcome or a potentially tangible outcome for them going forward?
Well, I think it'll just give them at most fundamentally just the confidence
Yeah.
to be better at helping their direct reports grow and develop
Yes.
as both professionally and personally. And I mean, there's so much to be said about that. And I don't even like the term performance management. I think it's the wrong paradigm to bring into the manager relationship. If you do any research around what creates an engaged workplace, and Gallup has done, like years and years of research in this area, Gallup will tell you that the number one predictor of employee engagement is the relationship the manager has with their direct reports.
Right.
It's all up to the manager. And so the manager has a couple of important responsibilities, which I get into more in the training, but principally it's the responsibility of stewardship to discharge their responsibilities to grow and to develop their people, to be a good steward of that person's development. And so that's why I think performance management is such a misnomer. It really should be something to the effect of growth and development,
Right.
other than performance management. In fact, I believe that if a manager has done their performance management work well, at the end of the year, when you traditionally have this performance management process, that part's done. It's easy. It's literally 5 minutes, and the conversation is really about what's happening next year. Let's put a plan in place where I can help you grow and develop, because I, as a good steward of your growth and development, my number one role as your manager is to make sure that you are better at your job, better as a person in 12 months than you are right now.
Right.
And so then that conversation completely changes, and it's less fraught with all of the issues around performance management that we are often, I think, familiar with, and that we, I think, come to, I don't know, regret's not the right word. I'm not sure what word I'm trying to go for here, but that we gives us the reason, or gives us pause, and causes us to resist having really good performance management discussions.
Yeah, and I don't want to take us down a rabbit hole, but quite often people are expecting, because they're used to it being negative, here's the things that haven't gone really well, as opposed to, I just read something on LinkedIn about catching people doing something right and focusing on the positives. And maybe that's a nice segue to the last question, and I hope we haven't stole too much thunder, but you've got an upcoming performance management program with both ACEC-Saskatchewan and with the Maritime provinces. And beyond what you've already shared, what can people expect, and why should they think about registering for this course?
I think if you're a manager, if you're an emerging manager who has 1 or 2 direct reports, and maybe new to that relationship, I think what you'll come to learn is there is a lot of opportunity to grow and develop your people, and it's less about judgment of performance and more about working alongside them so they can be the best possible version of themselves, and you as a manager actually has an obligation to do that. I think that would be number one. And number two is, and I've seen a lot of performance review forms that have 15 or 20 traits, and then on a scale of 1 to 5 rank, and you've got this complicated matrix. And I'm a big believer in less is more, and the simpler the better. And I'm going to present a performance review framework that's based on a very simple concept related to how accountants look at income statements and balance sheets. And what you really want to focus on, without spilling all my candy in the lobby, is the balance sheet accomplishments that your direct reports have.
I love it. Well, it sounds like one of the reasons that the folks in Saskatchewan brought you back, and why the folks in the Maritimes have brought you in, is because they see a lot of value in it. So it sounds like people will definitely get value from it. Again, I've known Gord for, I don't even know how many years now. It's going on 25 or 30 years. And he has some very interesting perspectives on things. They'll make you think, and you'll come away with some good nuggets. So, Gord, thanks for your time, and we'll chat with you soon.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care.
Yeah.